The rain began as a whisper, a thin mist clinging to the city streets, blurring the neon lights into long, trembling streaks. Anna adjusted the strap of her grocery bag on her shoulder and slowed her steps, one palm instinctively resting on her rounded belly. The baby shifted gently inside her, a small reminder of the life she was protecting with every careful move. The pedestrian light turned green. She stepped off the curb. At the same moment, a black sports car burst from the gated complex at the corner, its engine roaring like an animal unleashed. Inside, Leon Mercer gripped the steering wheel with one hand, his phone in the other, laughing at something on the screen. Speed limits were suggestions. Consequences were problems for other people. The crosswalk appeared too late. Anna heard the engine before she saw the car. Her heart jolted. She tried to step back, but the wet pavement betrayed her. The impact was brutal. Her body was lifted off the ground, weightless for a terrifying second, before slamming onto the hood and rolling hard onto the asphalt. Pain tore through her side and back, sharp and blinding. The world exploded into noise, screams, the screech of brakes, the crash of her grocery bag spilling across the road. Anna gasped, her breath stolen. Her hands flew to her stomach. "No, no, please," she whispered, panic flooding her veins. "My baby." The car stopped meters away. A door slammed. Leon stepped out, anger flashing across his face before fear had time to settle. "What the hell are you doing?" He snapped automatically, as if the words might undo what had just happened. Then he saw the blood seeping into the rainwater. The swollen belly. A flicker of alarm crossed his eyes. People rushed forward. Someone shouted for an ambulance. Another man pointed angrily at Leon. "You ran the light." Leon straightened, instinct kicking in. "Watch your mouth," he said coldly. "She jumped out in front of me." "That's a lie," a woman cried. Leon's hand trembled as he pulled out his phone. Not to call emergency services. To call protection. "There's been an accident," he muttered. "A woman. Handle it." Anna lay on the ground, rain mixing with tears on her cheeks. The pain in her abdomen grew tighter, more frightening by the second. She struggled to lift her head as paramedics pushed through the crowd. "She's pregnant," someone yelled. The paramedic knelt beside her. "Ma'am, stay with me." Anna's vision blurred. Fear swallowed everything else. "Please," she whispered, clutching the medic's sleeve. "Call my husband." "What's his name?" the medic asked gently. "Mikhail Volkov." Leon had already turned away, slipping back into his car, convinced this nightmare would be erased by morning. Behind him, Anna was lifted onto the stretcher, praying that her child was still alive. And that her husband would arrive in time. The hospital corridor was unnaturally quiet, the kind of silence that pressed against the ears and made every distant beep feel louder. White lights glared down on polished floors still damp from hurried cleaning. Behind the operating room doors, doctors moved quickly, their voices low but urgent. Anna lay unconscious, her body bruised and broken, machines speaking for her in steady mechanical rhythms. A nurse adjusted a drip, glancing at the monitor again and again. 7 months, she whispered to another. "We're doing everything we can." Miles away, in a private underground gym that smelled of iron and chalk, Mikhail Volkov stood alone. The heavy bag swayed violently as his fist struck it, once, twice, 3 times, each blow controlled, precise, devastating. He didn't train for fitness. He trained for readiness. Sweat traced slow lines down his back as he exhaled and reached for his phone. It vibrated in his hand. One missed call, then another. By the third vibration, something cold and instinctive settled in his chest. He answered. The voice on the other end was strained. "Mr. Volkov, this is City General Hospital. Your wife has been in an accident." Mikhail didn't ask how serious it was. He didn't need to. "I'm on my way," he said, already pulling on his jacket. He left the gym without another word, the door swinging shut behind him. 10 minutes later, his car slipped into traffic, moving smoothly, efficiently, ignoring every emotion except focus. At the hospital, a junior police officer stood at the nurse's station, filling out a preliminary report. He looked up when the automatic doors slid open. Mikhail stepped inside. Conversations died mid-sentence. Nurses paused. Even the officer straightened unconsciously. There was nothing loud about Mikhail. No aggression, no hurry, but his presence changed the room, like a sudden drop in temperature. "I'm here for my wife," he said calmly. The nurse swallowed. "Name, Anna Volkov." The officer's pen froze. "Volkov." Mikhail's eyes met his. "Yes." The officer cleared his throat and stood. "She's in surgery, sir." Mikhail nodded once. "Who hit her?" The officer hesitated, then answered. "Leon Mercer." Mikhail's jaw tightened almost imperceptibly. He turned toward the waiting area, taking a seat without another word, hands clasped, back straight. He did not pace. He did not pray aloud. He waited. Across the city, Leon Mercer lounged in his penthouse, a drink in hand, laughter forced and brittle as his father spoke on the phone. "It's being handled," the older Mercer assured him. "The woman crossed illegally. We'll settle." Leon smirked. "Figures." At that exact moment, the phone rang again, an unfamiliar number. Leon's father answered. The voice on the line was calm, controlled, and unmistakably dangerous. "Mr. Mercer," it said, "your son hit my pregnant wife." Silence swallowed the room. "My name is Mikhail Volkov," the voice continued. "You have until morning." The line went dead. Leon's father slowly lowered the phone, his face drained of color. For the first time that night, fear outweighed money. Morning arrived without relief. Gray light filtered through the tall windows of the Mercer estate, illuminating a room that had never known real worry. Leon Mercer paced across the marble floor, his earlier confidence unraveling with every unanswered call. His lawyer hadn't shown. The fixer had stopped responding. Even the house staff avoided his eyes. "This is ridiculous," Leon snapped, loosening his tie. It was an accident. His father stood by the window, staring out at the manicured lawn as if seeing something else entirely. When he finally turned, the man who had built an empire through intimidation and influence looked old. "You don't understand," he said quietly. Leon scoffed. "I understand perfectly. We pay, we threaten, we bury it. That works," his father replied, voice tight, "when the other side is afraid of us." Leon stopped pacing. "What are you saying? You hit Anna Volkov." Leon shrugged. "So." His father closed his eyes for a moment, then spoke the name like a warning. "Mikhail Volkov." Leon frowned. "I've never heard of him." "That," his father said hoarsely, "is why you're in trouble." He walked to a locked cabinet and opened it, pulling out a thin folder Leon had never seen before. No logos. No names on the cover. Just a red stamp across the front. "Do not engage." "He doesn't appear in headlines," the older Mercer continued. "He doesn't need to. When governments need problems erased, they don't call men like me." Leon's stomach tightened. "You're exaggerating." A sharp knock echoed through the hall. Not security. Not police. Just a knock. Slow, deliberate. Every muscle in Leon's body went rigid. The door opened before anyone answered. Mikhail Volkov stepped inside. He wore dark jeans and a plain jacket. No visible weapon. No entourage. Yet the air shifted as if the house itself recognized danger. He didn't look around. He didn't admire the wealth. His gaze locked onto Leon immediately. Leon tried to speak. Nothing came out. "You didn't even look at her," Mikhail said quietly. His voice carried no anger, which made it worse. "You saw a body. An inconvenience." Leon swallowed hard. "My wife survived," Mikhail continued. "My son is still fighting." Leon's knees weakened. He grabbed the back of a chair. "I'm not here to touch you," Mikhail said, stepping closer. "Pain ends. Memory doesn't." Leon's father found his voice. "We can compensate." "No," Mikhail interrupted calmly. "The law will." He turned slightly, as if the conversation were already over. "Every camera, every witness, every report you altered, it's already reversed." Sirens wailed faintly in the distance, growing louder. Mikhail leaned in, his eyes cold and unwavering. "This," he said softly to Leon, "is what it feels like when money can't save you." Then he stepped back and walked out. Seconds later, police flooded the estate. Leon Mercer collapsed into the chair, shaking, finally understanding that he had crossed a line that could never be undone. The courtroom was heavy with silence, the kind that settled into the bones. Sunlight streamed through tall windows, catching dust in the air, but nothing softened the tension. Every seat was filled, reporters, observers, people who had come to see whether money would win again. Leon Mercer sat at the defense table, shoulders slumped, hands clasped so tightly his knuckles were white. The tailored suit no longer fit the man he had become. His eyes flicked constantly toward the doors, as if expecting rescue that would never arrive. Across the room, Anna Volkov entered slowly. A murmur rippled through the courtroom. She walked carefully, one hand resting on her belly, still rounded, still alive. Beside her was Mikhail, his presence steady, grounding. He held her hand, his thumb brushing over her fingers in a silent promise, "You're safe." Leon looked at her then. Really looked, for the first time. She was not a headline. Not a problem to be erased. She was a woman who had survived. The trial moved quickly. Too quickly for Leon's comfort. Witnesses testified with clarity that hadn't existed before. The traffic footage played on a large screen, undeniable in its cruelty. The light was green. The speed was excessive. The fault was clear. Leon's lawyer spoke of accidents, of misunderstandings, of a promising future that should not be ruined by one mistake. The words felt hollow even as they echoed through the chamber. Then Anna took the stand. Her voice trembled at first, but she did not cry. "I remember the sound," she said quietly. "The engine. And then nothing but fear, for my child." She placed a hand over her stomach. No amount of money can undo that moment. Leon lowered his head. Mikhail was never called to testify. He didn't need to be. His presence alone told a story the court understood, of restraint, of patience, of consequences chosen carefully. When the jury returned, no one was surprised. Guilty. The word fell like a final strike. Leon's breath left him in a broken sound. His mother sobbed quietly behind him. As officers moved forward, cold steel cuffs clicking into place, Leon turned desperately, scanning the room. His eyes found Mikhail. For a heartbeat, the world narrowed to the two of them. Mikhail didn't smile. He didn't gloat. He simply nodded once. Not in triumph, but in closure. As Leon was led away, the power he had relied on dissolved completely. Wealth, influence, arrogance, none of it followed him. Through those doors. Anna exhaled slowly, leaning into her husband's side. Mikhail wrapped an arm around her, his hand resting protectively over her belly. Outside, the city moved on. But inside that courtroom, one truth was finally undeniable. Some lines, once crossed, demand a price no fortune can pay.